Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Dream Evil, Metal Gods, out July 26 on Century Media Records. The album has 10 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and this is the band's 7th full-length studio album. They are a Swedish heavy metal band. Now, as far as the design goes, I'm going to talk about two different elements that normally don't even play a role in how the album is designed and how the album is put together. One of them is the title of the record, and the other one, the overall lyrical content of this album. Now, when you press play on this record and you're looking at an album called Metal Gods, you expect the overall theme of the record to be just that, or at least close to it, considering that the opening song is Metal Gods. But that's not what you're going to get. From a lyrical standpoint, this album is very chaotic. It's very difficult to find a thread that connects these songs, specifically in the first third of the album and then in the last third of the album. It's a little bit all over the place, and if you can find a thread that connects the opening song, for example, Metal Gods, a song about Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Men of War, with Night Stalker, a song about Richard Ramirez, I'm all for it. If you can explain to me how lyrically these songs connect, I'm all ears. But I just couldn't find a lot of the times a connection between the lyrical content. So it felt really spaced out. Even though musically the record has a great flow, it's very dynamic, the overall design of the record has a little bit of a classic heavy metal feel to it. Once you start listening to the album and the lyrics come in, it's impossible to ignore how spaced out some of these songs are and how difficult it becomes to find a bridge between them. So obviously having songs of that nature in the first third, more so than in the last third, it makes the experience a little bumpy as you get into this record. And I don't think you ever fully get comfortable with the experience of the album going through, specifically because in the last third, those bumps, they come back again, and then it's not the right way of closing off an album when you're kind of looking and trying to find your way through an album like this. So it's an interesting dynamic, because never have I mentioned lyrics or even a title of the album playing a role in the design of the album, but in this case they do. Everything feels slightly disconnected from one another, and obviously that plays a role in the overall playability of this record. Now, as far as the sound is concerned, this is a more classic heavy metal sounding album. Obviously, there's a lot of power metal elements, but through and through, it really comes across as a classic heavy metal album with great production that allows it to be more modern, but at the same time not completely disconnected from the origins of the genre. So it's an album that sound-wise walks that fine line between a more modern heavy metal sounding record, production-wise, and still an album that has its roots in the past, and it allows that to have an impact on how you're going to digest each and every single song on this album. I thought the production was really good in order to enhance all of the elements, not just the main core elements, but all of the elements of this record. You can hear the bass clearly, you can hear the guitars, drums, vocals. Everything has its own lane, but at the same time, they all come together in order to create a very cohesive sounding experience, still with the main core and the main pillars of the music being definitely the guitars, and then obviously outside of that you have an incredible vocal performance that really helps carry the album through, even though that disconnect in lyrical content is definitely there. Now, as far as the guitars goes, great sound, powerful, melodic, vibrant, heavy, driven, all words you can use to describe the guitar sound on this album. And if you look at the solos, for example, the solo sections on this record are really powerful, very explosive, very vibrant, filled with life, always adding energy, or at the very least adding to the overall vibe that the tracks already have, so giving great quality to what the songs are putting forward. I enjoyed the drum sound on this record as well. It felt like it made the overall guitar sound a little bit more complete, a little bit fuller. Now, vocally, the album is very strong. Even in songs, like I said, that you have this kind of disconnect between topics, it doesn't matter, because if you just analyze song by song, the vocal performance, the vocal performance song-wise, it's super strong from start to finish. Very powerful once again, just like the guitars, elevating these tracks, bringing these tracks almost into a different level, making these songs bigger, stronger, thicker at times, but also stretching out the tracks because the range allows them to stretch out the tracks. So give them size not only from bottom up, but also from side to side. So great consistent vocal performance from start to finish, allowing this track to have some really cool individual songs, but in my opinion, there's not enough on this record to really leave a lasting impression. The disconnection between the tracks is something that I couldn't get over. Like I said, an album named Metal Gods that opens up with Metal Gods, that then has songs about completely different topics, and then has a song, for example, like Night Stalker, which is one of my favorite songs on this record. Lyrically, the album just feels a little bit all over the place. The album needed a little bit more of a tunnel vision, if you will, like some of their previous records. Narrow things a little bit more. It would give this record a little bit more of a cohesive experience all around. Now, having said that, my favorite song on this record, I want to start off with Fight in the Night. High octane song with heavy riffs, heavy guitars. The drums add to that heaviness, to that experience, and then the vocals, like I said, bringing a lot of energy to the sound, keeping the same flow and the same intensity in the verses and chorus. This is a song that never slows down. The way it starts is the way that it moves all the way along. The chorus is as bombastic as the verses. The chorus is very hooky. The backing vocals in the chorus is one thing that allows you to see the differences, that defines it a little bit better, but also adds that hookiness to the way it comes across. Great solo section, adding a lot of melody, a lot of explosiveness to the song itself, and really completing the song. This solo section really completes the way this track is put together. Next, you have Born in Hell. This is a very Judas Priest style song, from the guitar sound to the guitar execution to the way the track is put together, with the bass really popping, coming through, outstanding vocals, outstanding range, a chorus that also stands out. The backing vocals in the chorus also help the chorus stands out because it adds size, it adds volume, and overall it's guitars and vocals putting the pedal to the metal. A track that has an amazing solo section. One of my favorite solos are built into this song. Really interesting because it has an old school vibe, but still very modern in its touch. Overall, completing that Judas Priest essence that this song brings to the surface. Last but definitely not least, I mentioned this song already a bunch of times, Night Stalker. I love this track. I love the topic. I love the theme. So it adds to the allure of the track, and it brings some darkness to this song. This is a record that more often than not is filled with bright energy just because of the way the vocals sound and because the way the guitars are coming through. But there's a lot of darkness in the topics and in the lyrics. So there's this nice contrast. But not always that darkness in the topics and in the lyrics comes to the surface or is allowed to surface because of the overall design and the overall sound experience that the songs have. This one, because of the topic, because of the way the vocals come across in this track, storytelling aspect of the vocal performance, but also the darkness that's inherent in the lyrics, in the story, it's kind of impossible to walk away from it. The way the chorus comes about, the chorus is very haunting. It's very haunting. All of these elements allow this track all around to just be the darkest song on the record. It just feels a little bit darker. It feels a little bit more menacing, but it still has such great elements. One of my favorite choruses is in this song. It's super vibrant, very hooky, very catchy, easy to remember, easy to sing along. It's a chorus that just nails it and creates an overall performance and an overall song that's extremely memorable, not just because of the topic of the song, but because of the darkness and the way the song comes about with that really slightly melancholic, haunting chorus that really pushes this song into a different platform, into a different stratosphere. One of the best songs in the entire album. I have no doubts about that. This is a Dream Evil Metal Gods out July 26 on Century Media. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, guys.